Hi everyone, just wanted to say that I'm going to do 2 unscripted videos this week. I was going to do one last week, but I just couldn't think of anything at the time. So today, I'm going to actually give you 2 unscripted videos. I had planned to release one earlier in the week, and then another one later, but it didn't turn out that way, and then I had work in the middle, and then I have today off, and then I have to work this weekend. So if I don't do it now, I won't get it done. So basically today I just kind of want to go over something that I feel is like a topic that not a lot of people talk about in the anime community, but it's definitely something that's way more prevalent that people want to admit, and that's what I like to call is like overrated anime, where it's like it's not necessarily bad, it's just like not as good as people say it is. And I know a lot of people don't want to admit it, but the majority of everyone pretty much has watched an overrated show or anime, and even if they're like, oh, it's good, they probably are like, it's not that good, but they don't want to tell any anime fan that, you know. But I'm not like that. I'm just like, look, it was okay, it's not that great. Obviously Gundam Wing comes to mind. First one that comes to mind is Gundam Wing. For me, as a Gundam fan, it's always on my mind. So when it comes to that particular show, it's overrated because it was the first one that came out here. So a lot of Americans are like, oh, that's my favorite Gundam show, and it's just like, but why? It's not really that good, and you know it's not really that good. Especially if you've seen it multiple times since it came out and over here, you know it's not really that great. It's a very meh show. It's a very 5 out of 10 middle of the road series. And for Gundam, it's kind of disappointing, you know. But it's not awful. It's just not as good as it could be. But that's just the one that comes to mind for me when it comes to Gundam. But outside of that, just an anime in general, you know, you have stuff like Dragon Ball Z, you know, comes to mind. Basically any popular shonen series is a bit overrated. Like even Naruto. Like, I love Naruto. I think it's a great show, but even amongst people who like it, I can tell that's it's an overrated show because it's a shonen and it's just super popular. But if you think about it, the show isn't necessarily that great. You know, like, I was just thinking the other day about people who say this stuff like, oh, I don't like Gundam, you know. I'm like, okay, why? You know, give me a reason. And their reasoning is, it's too slow. I'm like, wait a minute. It's too slow? Have you seen Naruto? Yeah, I love Naruto. Okay. Dude, in the first 50 episodes of Shippuden, it takes like the first 50 or 51 episodes just to save Gaara. Okay? All that happens in the first 50 episodes of Naruto Shippuden is you get reintroduced to the characters, Naruto comes back, he learns of Gaara's kidnapping, the Akatsuki still is staying, they fight the Akatsuki a little bit, and then they save Gaara. Or they bring him back or whatever. That's it. That's the main beats of the first 50 episodes of Shippuden. Obviously more stuff happens later, but in the first 50, that's it. The reason why I'm choosing the first 50 is because most Gundam shows are only 50 episodes. And that's pretty common for older shows to be 50 episodes. So I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's too slow. But in 50 episodes of, say, Zeta Gundam, you know, you have a kid who's very angsty, has a girl's name who doesn't like it, accidentally creates a rivalry between him and a guy from the Titans called Jared. He steals some military, you know, equipment that is being tested, the Mark II, joins a rebellion group with the Char, but doesn't know it's Char yet, and I don't really know if he ever thinks it is, or if he just calls him Lieutenant Quattro because that's how he knows him. You know, all that, and that's not even it. You know, I'm not even done. You know, he goes from that. He watches his mother die right in front of him while he's trying to save her. He has to kill his father because he cares more about profits and money than he does his own family. Like, he doesn't even care. Like, he's cheating on his wife already, which is another thing that torments Camille, because he's like, you know, you've been cheating on her. My mom doesn't care that you're doing it because you got money, so she doesn't want to leave you. You know, it's horrible. So he has to kill his own dad and make himself an orphan, fight for this group that he realizes that while they're not necessarily bad people, they're still fighting in a war to basically get their own ideals and message across, what they believe is right. They're all following an hero or villain, I should say, of the previous war. You get reunited with Amuro and all the characters from the original, like Katz and all that. Katz and Amuro go on their own adventure, and they end up reuniting with, you know, Camille and Char. Char and Camille go to Earth. Camille's first time on Earth. He has to avoid a fucking nuclear explosion because they basically sabotaged Jaburo base. Or Jaburo base, however you want to say it. They have to figure out a way to get back into space. You lose a few characters here and there along this journey. And that's only in the first, 12 episodes. That's 12 episodes. That's not even the full show. I haven't even described everything that happens in the first 50 episodes of Zeta, because that would be the whole show. And all that of what I just said is in the first 12 or so, 15 or 12 episodes of Zeta Gundam. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like it's very slow to me. But what I described for Naruto sounds way more slow, because it's 50 episodes of a massive series that doesn't have a lot happen between each week. Eventually you'll get that one big episode that does start a chain reaction of really important episodes, and things start to change over time, but it takes 500 episodes, or probably a little less because you have all those filler arcs and filler episodes. But even without the filler episodes, it's 300 and something episodes of actual real episodes that it takes for the entire story of Shippuden to play out. That's a lot of episodes for a show that's really popular, and it's kind of considered the standard for the series, or for anime in general. It's this is how anime is. It's a fighting thing. Everything's all about fighting. You know, they fight with their fists, and they fight with, weapons and stuff, and, obviously Dragon Ball started that kind of thing where it's make all the characters fight with their fists, because that makes sense. No, actually, no, it doesn't. It's just stupid. But, I guess it's cool in a way, because it makes it more personal between the characters. So I can't really complain too much. Still doesn't really make a lot of sense, though. And, it just doesn't work too well for me sometimes. But I wish that it was better done sometimes, especially for Naruto and other really popular shonen shows, because sometimes if you want to go back and rewatch them, they're kind of boring, because they're only interesting the first time because you have no idea what's going to happen next. You don't know what's going to be the next big episode that actually changes the series and makes it move forward and have episodes actually mean something. Because even some of the more important story episodes don't really have a lot going on sometimes. It takes a little bit. It's not necessarily bad, it's just kind of like, really, there's nothing happening. Like, you know, and I feel like that's a big problem with overrated shows. It's just like, there's just not a lot happening. So I just find it weird that, you know, like, you can like overrated shows, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, the reason why there's so many people who like overrated shows, and mostly shonen series, is because those are already popular. Those are popular types of shows. And for some reason, I don't understand why, but like the anime community has a hard time like expanding their palette. It's like, if you start with one type of show, it's very hard to break from that classification of anime fan. Like, I'm thinking about later on doing a video of what I like to call the classes, or the groupings or whatever of an anime fan, because it's very difficult to break away from one particular group where it's basically just fans of a genre, and it's like you only like that genre. And obviously the biggest contributor to this is shonen anime. Shonen anime is just brutally bad about it, and so many people fall into it. They fall into it all the time. And it's usually because that's the first type of anime that they see, and if they enjoy it because, you know, it's fast-paced, but only really the action is fast-paced, the story drags its ass, just watch any shonen series and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. If it takes that long for the show to tell its entire story, clearly it's not that fast-paced. It's actually a very slow-paced story-wise. The animation might be fast, and so is the fighting, but it's really not that fast of a show. Anyways, so it's like, people like that, and they're like, that's really cool. But the problem is they don't try other shows. You know, I was watching a reaction video the other day that was not relatively new, kind of old. Happened like quite a few months ago, like 10 or something, almost last year basically. And I never seen it before, and it was for Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. And sometimes I like to look up things that I like to see people's reactions to it. And most of the time, they're relatively cool about it. But one thing that always bugs me about Gundam reaction videos for some reason, I don't know why, is people will be so ready to tell you that they don't like Gundam, or they are not a big fan, or they don't know much about it. Not knowing much about it is fine. You know, that's okay. But why don't you like it? And they never really give you an answer. They just say they don't like it. Like, hey, did you try it before with Gundam Wing back in the day and you didn't understand what the hell's going on? Was it too much for your little brain? Did it go over your head or something? Like, a lot of people say Gundam just goes over their head, like they don't understand what's happening. And as a kid, I can understand if you didn't get it. It makes a little bit more sense. But you're an adult now. Why not try it again? Maybe not try Wing, because Wing's not really that great. I can at least admit that. But if you don't like it, at least have a good reason for it. You know, like, say you don't like pickles. If you say, I just don't like pickles, why? Have you tried them? No? Then how do you know you don't like pickles? But if you've tried pickles and your reason is you don't like them because they're nasty, at least to you, we understand that you think pickles are nasty. So that's a decent reason. That's a decent reason for anyone to go, okay, You don't like pickles. Whatever, leave it at that. But when it comes to TV shows or whatever, especially Gundam, Americans are the quickest to say something like, I don't like it. Because mechs. That's not really a reason to not like it. That's just the genre. I mean, if you've seen multiple mech shows and you don't like it because you just can't get your head around mechs, then understandable. But if you've never seen a mech show and you automatically don't like mech shows, that's not really a good enough reason. You haven't even tried it. And you might actually like Iron-Blooded Orphans. It's a really good show. And it's pretty brutal, it's badass, you know, but why not give it a chance, you know? And it immediately kind of turned me off to it because this, like, the only guy, like, all of them are kind of like, they're not really big, they're not big on Gundam. So fine, you don't have to be. But at least give us a reason, you know? One guy didn't even have a reason. He just basically was like, I don't like mechs. I was like, okay, so you don't like an entire genre of anime at all? Like, there's no mech show that you see. Gurren Lagann, Evangelion, you didn't like any of those? Because I'm pretty sure you liked one of those shows. Because, like, even regular anime fans typically like one of those shows. Even if they don't like Gundam. Or they don't like mecha in general, they tend to like one of those shows. So it's just like, that makes no sense. It just makes no sense. Why even do the reaction then? Like, why? Like, if you have no interest in it, what's the point? What's the point? Because all you're going to do is end up making, like, upsetting people who are a part of your community who do like that. Especially if they ask you to do it. You know? Like, being honest with them is fine, you know? Totally understandable. But when you act like that, you're kind of being a douche. You know, at least in my opinion. You know, they weren't really asked to do it or anything. They just kind of found the show and thought it'd be good to review or whatever, react to on the channel. I can't remember their name, but it's not really that important either. Another one, that's all that really bothered me, was another one that was doing a reaction to Unicorn. But this one bothered me because obviously they already had preconceived notions going into the review, because they basically gave it to you up front that they never really been interested in any Gundam show. And it's like, okay, which ones have you watched? Because if you've watched only Universal Century shows, but you watched them out of order, and you just kind of put in whatever Gundam series, there's no reason you don't like it. Because you're not watching it the way you're supposed to. From the beginning to where we're at. You don't have to do that for multiverse shows or spin-offs, because they don't really matter that much. But Universal Century is the main Gundam storyline. Have some freaking logic and look it up. Look up how to watch the show. But no, they reacted to Unicorn, which is like, happens really far. It happens later in the timeline, like you see 96 or something like that. And you know, you're missing tons of shows in front of it that take place in 79, in 83, 88, no, 1980, or 0080, I mean. You know, they happen years before Unicorn, and they kind of explain what's happening. And if you watch all that first, and then you move on to Unicorn, things make more sense. You don't have to see everything. There are some OVAs that you can skip, like, no matter how good they are, like, absolutely. 0080, War in the Pocket, the 8th MS Team, 83, Stardust Memory, absolutely great OVAs that should be watched, but they're not necessary to watch, because they just take place in between major TV shows or at the end of it. They're not a huge deal, but they are important enough to where if you want to add more context, you can. But the ones you have to see is the first one, Zeta, Double Zeta, in my opinion, and then Char's counterattack, to actually understand what the hell is happening or what's going on before you watch Unicorn. So they're watching Unicorn, and they're like, nothing's being explained. It's like, first of all, you're in the first episode, okay? Secondly, you know nothing about the franchise, because clearly they're making remarks about things that make no sense. Because if you watched the other shows, it would make sense to you. So it's like you're going off half-cocked. You're showing your ignorance, and you're showing how proud you are of it because you're just dumb. You know, it's like, at least look up what happened before or something, you know, before you jump into it. At least when it comes to anime. I'm not talking about reaction videos to music or something, just anime. You know, have a little bit of context, because you don't want to go in looking like an idiot. You know? That way you can go, okay, I can see why people said that, or I can see what they mean. That way you're not saying just ridiculous things that make you look so dumb. And I know the community let them have it after the first episode, and then the second episode, they weren't any better. It's like, you haven't seen everything. You know nothing about this franchise. It's no wonder you're lost. Why are you acting like you know everything about a show that you haven't seen everything for? Makes no sense. And that's just this is just, you know, a random rant, you know, a video. I'm just kind of ranting about the anime community in general. Because you have overrated shows that are just blown out of proportion. People are stuck in one group, typically shonen, but it can be anything. You have people who also started with like romance shows like Fruits Basket, or Vampire Knight was a really big like gateway anime for people, which I still haven't done that anime for noobs video yet, but I haven't really had much of a chance to do anything. You know, they are just stuck in that. They're stuck in romance shows, and it's like they don't really want to break out of it. It's like, you know, but then you have people who start with shonen and they hear a name like Toradora and they're like, that sounds freaking stupid, I'm not going to watch that. They do that in that one video, by the way, I was talking about with them reacting to Iron Blooded Orphans. They mentioned that Sunrise did that show, and they're like, well, that sounds stupid. It's like, you haven't seen it. You can't say that yet. You know, it might sound dumb. Sure, the name doesn't sound that great, but the show is amazing. It is so good. Toradora is a great series. It is so good. So, clearly you haven't seen it, which is fine, but you're immediately judging it by its name. And they even say, don't judge a book by its cover in the video. But then they're like, yeah, you totally should. And it's like, no, you shouldn't, because you haven't seen Toradora. You don't realize how good it actually is until you see it. So do a reaction video to it. My phone's going off. So just do a reaction video to it, you know. Watch it. You don't know. It's really good. Sure, it may not be what you're interested in normally, but it is a very interesting series. Now, the other one that they mentioned is The Flower We Saw That Day, or something like that. I haven't seen that one, but I have heard of it, so I might check it out one day. I probably should put it on my anime to watch list, which is freaking ridiculous. But sorry about the glare. I'm sitting right in front of the window, and I'm really, really white. So light just reflects off me like I'm like a mirror. You know, like I'm white. So super white. So like this, the little bit of light coming through the window is just beaming off of me like a ray. But yeah, it's just like, God, some of the things the anime community does is just so frustrating. It's like, try and get out of your little bubble of genre. Watch other things. Don't hate mecha immediately because it's mecha. Don't hate Gundam immediately just because it's the biggest mecha franchise and you've heard the name Gundam. You've probably seen it in the anime community, but you know nothing about it. You know absolutely nothing, especially when it comes to Universal Century, because that one, you really have to do your research and watch it from the beginning and start watching it through to the end so that you understand what it is, what's happening. It's not that hard of a concept. I'm pretty sure you've seen Star Wars. You've probably seen some sort of Star Trek. If you have any interest in that, you'll like Gundam. It's basically Star Trek freaking robots. I mean, it's like Star Trek meets giant mecha meets Star Wars. That's what it is. So if you like anything from that kind of sci-fi, Gundam is right up your alley. Stop judging it before you have a chance to see it. Makes no sense. You know? It's like for example, I finally, like, a few years ago, I ended up getting a copy of Akira for Christmas. And Akira is a great movie. But it's great, technically great. Like, animation is insanely good for 1988. Like, it looks, damn, the detail in that is so good. The character design is really good. Everything technically is really good. But it's a horrible movie. It's not that great. The story is like, it's there, but you can tell that they didn't really know what they wanted to do with the story because the manga hadn't finished yet. So there's a lot of things that are just kind of missing or feel left out or were changed later on to where certain characters died in a different way or whatever. It's just a weird experience. The story really isn't there. And if you're not paying really heavy attention, there's a lot of things you'll miss. That is true. So I watched it a few times, but even then, I picked up on what's really happening, but it's not really that interesting. It's just kind of boring. The story is. But the action on screen is amazing, and so is the animation and the music and all that. So all the technical stuff is fantastic. But the story and the characters don't really hold up that well when it comes to scrutiny. All the characters are kind of one-dimensional, except for Tetsuo. He's really the only one that's interesting. But all the other characters are either, like, just quick side characters that you see like once or twice, or if they are a main character, they don't really do anything that interesting except for Tetsuo. He's really the only one that does anything. And Canada is like the main hero, but he kind of just reacts to everything Tetsuo is doing. So it's like the hero really isn't doing anything, and technically he doesn't do anything. Technically, what the movie's named after does everything. Akira. He basically takes Tetsuo away to save everybody or whatever. So Canada was kind of useless in this. He really didn't do anything. He didn't actually help. He just kind of was there, and that was it. So it's not like it's a bad movie. It's just, whenever you hear about it, everyone's like, oh, Akira's so great. And it is a great movie, but it's technically great. It's not story great or character-driven great. It's just kind of meh. You know, you're not necessarily invested in the characters. You're not necessarily invested in the story. At least after the first time. Like, the first time you watch it, you probably are, because you always try to be invested in what you're watching. Or at least I try to be. And then, whenever you get to it, it's like, okay. So at second or third time around, you get back to it. I mean, and it's like, kind of bored. You know, it's just, I know it's already going to happen, but it's not because I've already seen it, because I've seen Star Wars multiple times, and I still like that, well, the old school ones anyways, and the prequels, because they're actually good. I don't care what anybody says. But here it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's just kind of like, you already know what's going to happen, but instead of being excited and anticipated for what's next, like you do for things that you love seeing, like watching, like a movie, it's kind of like, okay, finally we're at this point. We're finally at this part of the film. Almost like I wanted to fast forward it and just watch that clip or something. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. For me, it's not necessarily a bad movie. It's just, it's a boring sit after you see it the first time. It's very amazing the first time you see it, but after that, it's not as interesting. You know, at least to me. I'm sorry if you feel different, but the story just really isn't that, it isn't all there for me. It probably would be if there was more that came out, like there was more movies, there was a TV show or something, which there was plans to do that, but it never came to be. It never happened. So I don't really know. I have no idea what's ever going to happen with Akira. I think it's probably done. You know, they're not going to do anymore. But this has pretty much been this rant video. I don't want to make it too long. I just wanted to, you know, give you guys another unscripted video, and I had a few things I wanted to just run through real fast. I'm not sure what the next one's going to be. It might be a reaction, or it might be like me discussing something kind of like this, but more like a theory of sort. We'll find out soon. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, and share the video if you want. I just kind of wanted to run through some things, and I guess you could say bitch. I just wanted to bitch about things. So I'll see you guys later. This is Joe Kai, and I'm out of here.